If you've been doing research on intermittent fasting, the topic of OMAD may have come across your screen a few times. OMAD is a pretty straightforward concept to understand, where we're limiting our feeding window to a very small range of time in the day and fasting the entire rest of the day. I'm going to explain why this is beneficial and how you can use this in your journey to your own health and wellness goals. Welcome back. I'm Blake. I guide those on a spiritual journey to answer questions they didn't even know they had. Today we're talking about fasting again, specifically OMAD, or 1 meal a day, which is essentially an intermittent fasting protocol that has a very tight feeding window where you would probably only want to spend an hour to 1.5 hours refeeding, and then you'd begin fasting again. People are attracted to intermittent fasting for a lot of various health benefits that you get from fasting. What's so unique about this concept is that you're doing it every day on a routine. When you're first getting into this and you really haven't fasted before, it can be very challenging to get over a lot of discomforting effects that you experience from. Using salt water can solve a lot of these issues that you experience on a fast. I even made a video about it. But one of the things that gets missed by new fasting aficionados is that what you eat when you break a fast is incredibly important to the whole process that you're trying to accomplish. Ensuring that you account for all the calories you need for the day, you really would like this meal to have a really good balance of macronutrients, meaning fats, proteins, and carbohydrates. I'm not going to get into that because that's room for a whole nother video later down the road. Leave me a like on this one if you'd like to have more information about these topics. You're going to benefit the most from these hours that you've put into your fast if you're really prioritizing what foods and the balance of the meals that you're going to have whenever you break it. People that start getting really comfortable with fasting will notice that there's this one change that really occurs that's the most beneficial from this process. And that benefit is your relationship with food. You're no longer looking at food as a way to satisfy your hunger, but yet you're looking at food as a way to satisfy your nutrition. Now that you've taken all this break from food, you don't really want to load yourself up with a lot of crap. You're going to be really more sensitive to the way that this food feels to you. And over time, you're going to expect and anticipate and want these really good vitamins and minerals and everything in your food, because it's going to have the most impact and satisfaction in how you're replenishing yourself from this break from eating. So if you've been having a lot of success fasting, maybe in smaller hours like 16 hours or even starting at 12 hours, eventually you're going to get to a point where you become so comfortable with food, you may even be like, I don't necessarily even need to eat. When this comes up, this is a good opportunity to maybe push it a little bit further. It'll give you a little bit more time on your hands, so you won't have to really deal with cooking as much throughout the day, and you can focus on getting larger meals made in the evening, while the time that gets freed up is a huge benefit to adapting an OMAD style fasting protocol. The other thing that's really important is by extending this fasting window, you're going to start being able to actually experience more of these emotions that come up when you're separated from food. This actual mental process that's going to help you improve your self-awareness and improve your relationship with eating. You're going to have to constantly tell yourself, no, not right now, and not act impulsively on a lot of the feelings that you have that are associated to eating. This could build, again, that relationship with food, where at the specific time that you've reserved is going to be the feeding time where we take in the nutrients and not just satisfy our hunger. So what are your thoughts on OMAD? Leave me a comment down below. I'd like to get your take on what you think about this. So can our fast go more than 24 hours if we've already gotten comfortable with eating this 1 meal a day? And technically, yes. Any fast that's under 40 hours is still an intermittent fast. But then you don't get to call it something cool like OMAD. So while the benefits of having a wider fasting window increase benefits that you get from that immediate fast, the requirement that when you feed is also going to be higher, and that you probably will need to eat a larger amount of calories on that feeding window, especially if you're going to do immediately another 36-hour fast. The only time that I've really done a 36-hour fast consistently when working out involved eating a lot of food. And it was almost exhausting, the amount of food that I had to prepare and eat. I honestly couldn't eat all the food that I wanted to eat in a 1 hour span. I really had to do like a 2 hour feeding window and take my time and have two smaller meals broken up in order to get all the macronutrients that I wanted. This may not be for everybody for a lot of reasons, but specifically just because of the time investment. A lot of times you want to do this because it saves you time, and perhaps it does on those fasting days, but then there's going to be even more of a demand on what you prepare to eat whenever you do feed. And of course, depending on your budget, you can break this up over, getting something from a restaurant that you've already vetted in terms of having good quality ingredients, and then also cooking something at home. When it comes to getting all those calories in, I'd find myself eating a lot of excess foods like extra nuts, extra beans, and like extra cottage cheese. When it all comes down to it, it's super important that you experiment with this slowly and appreciate fasting as an art form. It's this ancient tradition that we've always experienced in so many cultures and in various ways, and it can have really great healing powers over you if you want to take it seriously and really study a lot of the emotions that come up when you go without food. Intermittent fasting has a lot of nuances to it. It scales really wildly. But a lot of the reason why it scales like that is because it's incorporated in stages. It's kind of something that you train like a muscle. What it's teaching you is always the same thing, that our relationship with food has a lot of habitual and impulsive things that we've been taught that don't serve us anymore, and that we can learn to have a different relationship with those things, and over time improve our own self-awareness and our own responsibility to improving our relationship with food and being able to look at it as more of a blessing that we count instead of just something that we get done. So if you've made it this far, again, thank you so much. If you would subscribe, it would mean so much to me, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.